I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpm.fm to discover more.
Hi, friends. It's Susan Blackwell.
And Laura Camion from The Spark File, your friendly neighborhood creativity coaches. We help creatives just like you clarify and accomplish your creative goals.
If one of your goals has been cultivating more creativity in your life, but your consistency has been, let's say, elusive, we might have the support you need. The Spark File Creative Community.
If you've been curious about the Spark File experience, but you haven't had the time or resources to invest in a full coaching program, the Spark File Creative Community might be the perfect fit.
The Spark File Creative Community is where your ideas get nurtured, your practice becomes consistent, and your creativity gains traction with daily sparks, weekly labs, monthly coaching sessions, real momentum, and actual humans who care about your work. Because around here, we always say, everyone is creative, but smart creatives don't go it alone.
So come fan your creative flames with us. Monthly or annual pricing is available. Plus, it's risk-free because your first 14 days are free. Come take a look-see.
Learn more about the SparkFile Creative Community at thesparkfile.com.
Girl, winter is so last season. And now spring's got you looking at pictures of tank tops with hungry eyes. Your algorithm is feeding you cutoffs. You're thirsty for the sun on your shoulders. That perfect hang on the patio sundress. Those sandals you can wear all day and all night. And you've had enough of shopping from your couch. Done hoping it looks anything like the picture when you tear open that envelope? It's time for a little in-person spring treat. It's time for a trip to Ross. Work your magic.
The Sparkfile podcast may contain profanity and other adult content.
Please use your discretion.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Welcome to the Spark File, where we believe that everyone is creative, but smart creative people don't go it alone.
I'm Laura Camion.
And I'm Susan Blackwell, and we are creativity coaches who help people clarify and accomplish their creative goals.
You should know that just by listening to this podcast, you are joining a warm and wonderful clan of creatives.
But you might also be asking yourself, what exactly is a Spark File?
A Spark File is a place where you consistently collect all of your inspirations and fascinations. Every episode, we're going to reach into our Spark Files and exchange some sparks. And from time to time, you never know, we're going to talk to some folks who spark us too.
And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take some of those sparks of inspiration and make something of your own. So without further ado, let's open up
the Spark File.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Suze. I want to say I really enjoyed us talking. Just so you all know, prior to talking on the podcast for, 30 minutes, we talked for 2 hours, just shooting the shit.
Just talking
about lifing and all its glory. So we're nice and warmed up, I'd say.
Totally warmed up and relaxed. I also just want to acknowledge my allergies are in full spring mode. So I guarantee my nose will be running throughout this podcast. And now that we capture this on video, well, there's a treat for everybody.
Nice.
All you friends watching on social media.
We're going to see an appearance by the Kleenex throughout the episode. I look forward to it, Susan. I'm sorry for you.
I'm going to live and I'm going to persevere. It's going to be fine.
Stay gold, pony boy. Stay gold. Okay, listen. Are you ready to be sparked?
I'm so excited. Yes, I'm ready.
I think you might be a little bit interested in this topic. We'll see.
Okay.
Let me tell you how I came to this topic. I noticed that in the final episode of Ryan Murphy's JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bassett's love story, have you been watching?
No.
Okay. Well, the internet has been ablaze about it because, it's JFK Jr. and New York City in the 90s.
Ever since I detoxed my dopamine and I haven't been on social media as much, I feel like there are many cultural things that pass me by, like this Ryan Murphy joint, but I'm
Yeah.
going to say that that's a fair price to pay. And I get to hear about it from you.
Yeah. And you lived it.
Also, I lived it.
Yeah, we lived it. So I'm not going to spend much time on this. I'm just, first of all, confessing that I did, in fact, have to break my own, you know, how I cut off all my streamers.
Yeah.
I did have to get Hulu again to watch it, but now we no longer have Hulu. So it was a brief little stay, but I guess I wanted that nostalgia. Like I kind of did want to remember New York City in the 90s.
Yeah.
Before the internet, before all that we live with now. And I remember the weekend, distinctly remember the weekend their plane went down and I was like glued to the television. I could not stop crying. I'd never met these people.
Wow.
I mean, I saw JFK Jr. rollerblading in the streets more than once, but I never met him. I don't know them, but yet there was something about it, like the loss of potential was so sad. And the show kind of mentions that too, of like, he will always be remembered for what could have been. That's some ambiguous grief right there.
That is some ambiguous grief.
That's some ambiguous grief. So anyway, in the final episode of the series, the two characters, JFK Jr. and his wife, Carolyn, talk about this idea of like having a sign above their head. And his was something like, I forget exactly, but it was something about like, I'm America's prince. I need you to love me, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And his character says, you never did tell me what the sign above your head says. And she responds with, my sign would say, not as strong as she pretends to be. Please handle with care. Which I thought was a really sweet scene. And just made me emotional now for some reason. But it got me thinking about this concept that you and I have talked about many times in our 25-year friendship. And that is the idea of people needing to come with their own little instruction manuals.
Invisible rule book. Yes.
The invisible rule book. Like, we have met some complicated people who have literal landmines surrounding them, and you don't really know it until you've taken a step toward them in the wrong way. And you practically can like hear that click of the trap locking in and you cannot move. You know, that sort of like, oh shit moment. Like, I've really stepped in it now. I wish I could have seen this coming. If only I had known they had this particular issue. Or sometimes it's not that dramatic. It's just that you might have a new relationship or a new friendship, and you're just trying to learn each other's sensitivities and idiosyncrasies. And maybe your relationship is a little bit wobbly, like on its little baby fawn legs, and it just doesn't have the strength to endure a single missed connection. Like, sometimes some things can't survive that first road bump, but they might. If only you knew like where the potholes were, you know, that's a lot of metaphor in there.
We got potholes, we got landmines, we got bear traps,
road bumps, fawn legs. Yeah. So hang with me here. You get what I'm saying. We get taught, I think, that like being direct about our needs in particular is potentially rude, or I don't know, selfish, but I personally have been so appreciative when people are very clear, like, this is what I need, because then I get to determine whether or not I think I can provide that. And if not,
yes,
why not? Right?
Yeah.
I remember meeting a woman in my 20s who was very eager and very excited to be my friend. And she made that very clear. There was no missing it. And she said to me, I want to talk on the phone every day. I want to tell each other everything. And it all sounded awesome. Like it was describing my fantasy best friendship in 5th grade.
Oh.
But at that time in my life, that's not where I was. I was
No.
traveling all the time. I was opening
Yes.
Blue Man shows. I was doing my own work, and just maintaining that level of interaction was barely possible for me.
Totally.
So I had to say, thankfully, though, she was very clear with me, which meant that I got to say very clearly back, I want to be your friend, but I don't think that I can maintain that. If you're cool with like less frequent, but equally enthusiastic interaction, we're going to be fine. But if you really truly need conversations every day and telling each other everything, I don't think I'm your gal.
Yeah.
I appreciated it. So on the other hand, when people say what they think is polite or nice, or they say everything is fine, but really they need you to read their mind and know that it isn't fine, or know that somehow you should have known that even though they said that was okay, it really wasn't okay. This is really, really tough.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I've never been guilty of that, by the way, but as I've gotten so much older and so much wiser, I do try not to do that if possible. And if I can catch myself, I will, like, even if I like automatically be like, no, it's no problem. If I can catch myself in that next moment and be like, actually, I do have a preference, and my preference would be this, I try to find a way to articulate it, because people can't meet or exceed expectations that they don't know exist.
Invisible rule book.
Invisible rule books. So I know that the trouble is, the more that something matters to us, or the deeper the pain is, or the stronger the fear or the vulnerability, the harder it is to communicate that clearly. I know I'm guilty of that for sure. Because I know, because people are usually like, people will say to me with regularity, oh, you're such a good communicator, or anything in that realm. Great at communicate. I've literally made a living as a communicator.
Mm-hmm.
But try talking to me when my heart is hurting.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like a word salad. It's a smorgasbord of like feelings, and it's a mess. It's messy, which is why you and I have often asked the question in one way or another, what if we all came with an instruction manual? Like, how many relationships would have a better shot at surviving? How much pain could we avoid inflicting on others? So, Susan, just a heads up, in a moment, I'm going to ask you what a few things in your personal instruction manual might say, like what you might want people to know right off the bat, rather than learning by trial and error. I'm going to do that. But before I put you on the spot, I did some thinking on this, because I was like, well, Laura, if you're going to ask the question, you got to do the work.
Yeah, I love this.
Okay. So I will share a few things, and please feel free to tell me, like, if you're like, no, I wouldn't have said that about you, Laura. But here's what I would love my instruction manual to say that might be helpful. I want to talk about deep and meaningful topics. The more true, the better. I can talk about the weather and things like that if we need to, but I am going to want to get off that topic as soon as possible. I want to talk about ideas and concepts instead of gossiping about other people or talking about things that are not meaningful.
Yeah.
Another thing about me is that if I love you, I most likely want to make things together or support each other as we make things.
Yep.
And back to point number one, those would be meaningful things that mean something to us. I will need your support from time to time, but it will be difficult for me to ask for it. If I have asked for it, it's kind of a big deal. That's not going to happen very often.
Yeah.
Probably it's going to be like I have avoided every other possible scenario, and now I must ask for your support. My nervous system is ultra sensitive. I can feel a feather drifting to the ground in the room next door. Like I can literally feel the air change when someone's mood changes. Do you know the sound of somebody not breathing in a room? Like the sound of someone holding their breath?
Yep.
I hear that sound clear as day.
Mm-hmm.
Micro expressions, a thought crossed your mind for like a nanosecond. I saw it.
Yeah.
I felt it. I didn't miss it. Please know this is not the gift I asked for, but it is the gift I got.
Yeah.
And after years and years of learning to regulate, I am much better at not allowing those signals to throw me off. But it does still happen sometimes. I don't love it and I'm not proud of it. But I can't turn it off. I can only learn not to respond to it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Is all of this ringing true, Susan?
Yeah.
And your knowledge of me? Okay.
Yep. Yep.
All right. What else would I need you to know? Oh, I might cry.
I'd put money on it.
that might be the sign above my head. I might cry. But the fact is, it's very likely that I will cry.
Yeah.
However, I still want you to talk to me. I still want you to tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Even if I get teary,
Yeah.
I'll be okay. I can hang in there. There just might be tears as I'm hanging in there, but I can hang. The worst, like for me, I'm like, I absolutely hate it if someone like wants to talk to me about something and I get teary and they decide, no, they're not going to talk to me about it because I might cry. I'm like, no. Crying is okay. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
If I have big emotions, I might need like 24 hours to sleep on it and figure out exactly what I'm feeling and how to articulate it. I think I do better when I've had a moment to figure out what is going on in me. Probably most people do. Trying to get that window of time down. But if it's a really, really, really big feeling, I can typically use some time to sort out in my own mind and my own body what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
If we are good friends, if you are in my inner circle, if you are at my lunch table at school and I have saved you a spot, that means I want to know you, warts and all. I want to be burdened by you. I want the opportunity to support you the way that you support me. I want that and I welcome that. So I don't want you to be like, no, I don't want to bother Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, I will also say in my instruction manual, expectations scare me. Not because I don't love you, but because I am always worried that I'm going to disappoint.
Yeah.
And I will forever be learning to trust myself and my ability to deliver on expectations. So let's ease into them. And the last thing I thought of was that I have a deep need for safety and security and consistency, but I also want adventure and expansion constantly. I am always wanting to expand and learn and grow.
Yeah.
And I need some stabilizing forces in my life. Okay, so that's what I came up with. And now I feel really vulnerable that I just said all of that on the podcast. But you know what? There it is. I think these things are all true.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
So, Susan, do you have a few things that you would be willing to share? Like, what does the sign over your head say, or what some items in your personal instruction manual?
That is a fantastic question, Laura. And this is fresh because I didn't have time. I didn't sit
I know.
and write about it.
I sprung it on you.
But I was recently having a conversation with some dear friends who I've been friends with for nearly 40 years. And next year will be our 40th friend anniversary. And
wow.
I was saying to them some of these things, which I think would apply to the question you just asked me. Things like, I do really well with people who can pick up with me right where we left off.
Yes.
So if we haven't seen each other in a year or 5 or 15, but there wasn't an outstanding conflict or anything, we can just pick right back up, go deep,
Mm-hmm.
have fun, like all of it. I do really, really well with people like that.
Mm-hmm. And nobody's keeping score or keeping track of. Mm-hmm.
God, Laura, no, nobody's keeping score and no punishment.
Yeah.
No punishment. I do well with people who can love and accept me as a person who is not going to remember to send you a birthday card
Mm-hmm.
on the day of your birthday or one day before.
Yep.
I am not going to give you your holiday gift at the holidays. Like it might be 3 months later.
Yep.
I feel like you and I have done really well together because we have zero expectations of each other that we'll even remember to give a gift.
And again, no one's keeping score. So
No.
it's just gifts come when they want and need to be given.
Yes.
I have loved this about you from the moment that we became friends, so many years ago. And also subscribe to this, like, if I love you, I'm going to gift you things. This
Yeah,
is just,
same,
it's just going to
same.
happen. I'm going to gift you things. And
Yep.
sometimes you may feel like this gift is associated with a reason of some kind. And sometimes like there is no reason. It's just, I found it, I saw it, I thought of you, I want you to have it. And you have always been that way as well. I think everybody should have something about their gift giving rules in their personal manual. I really do, because some people are like very thrown off by like, I don't want a gift. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. I understood.
Because in their invisible rule book, a gift from you means a quid pro quo.
That's right.
They have to give a gift. Like that's a message that they got from their parents or from their elementary school teacher or whatever the case may be.
That's right.
And so it puts them in a position.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. And so if you knew that about them, I would never, if I read their rule book and was like, oh, okay, they don't want gifts, certainly not random gifts, and maybe not even gifts around holidays. Okay, good to know. But it is an awkward moment when people discover for the first time what each other's gift-giving rules are. What else? Yeah, tell me what else.
Another one that I can think of is I have said things to people and made myself clear, but my voice doesn't sound much different than it sounds now.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's not highly heightened or emotional, people don't necessarily get it.
Or they don't realize how important it is to you. That was, you were very clearly stating a need. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes because I don't scream, shout, cry when I'm saying important things, it can be hard for people to clock the importance of it and the weight of it.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
So that would be in my invisible rule book.
Anything else? Yeah.
This isn't that groundbreaking, but I do not tolerate meanness or hard teasing, that sort of thing. Yes. I don't feel safe around that, and I will shed you from my life.
Boom. Yes to that. And you just made me think of another one that needs to go in mine. I can't believe I didn't put this up there. Do not mistake my kindness for weakness.
Maybe that's what your sign says.
I think it used to happen more often than it does now because I've made adjustments. I still have a lot of kindness, but I'm less likely to be adopted by anyone who wants me to be a doormat.
What did you say yours was, your sign?
It could be I might cry, but I still want you to tell me. I still want to get vulnerable with you. I'm okay.
Maybe it's I might cry. Don't be scared.
Yes, exactly. It's more that. But for a good period of my life, it probably would and could have been and should have been. Do not mistake my kindness for weakness. People had to figure that out. I had to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Back to you. Tell me another.
I don't know if I can't think of any. And I don't know what I will give more thought to this. I don't know what my sign would say. I don't know. I have to think about that.
Interesting.
But that'll be
Yeah.
a fun thing
It's a fun thing to ponder.
I like that.
So thanks for going on that ride with me, Susan. It's a
Fun.
little vulnerable, right? But it's also so clarifying.
Yeah.
I was a little bit like, am I really going to share this on the podcast? And then I thought, well, why not? Because it is what I would want anybody who like wants to know me at any meaningful level. I would want you to know these things.
Yeah.
And probably like the thing about having a personal like user manual is that like it helps everybody. One, if you know these things up front, you can kind
Yeah.
of determine like, oh, I don't think this is going to be, I think I'm probably not for you and you might not be for me. But it's a fun thing to just clarify for yourself as well. Because I wasn't proud of all these things. I just am like, these just are things. And some of them I've worked really, really hard to improve upon and regulate and do better. But they are still things. So something I found really interesting is that I've thought a lot about this topic in regard to like interpersonal relationships, work relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, etc. But when I went to do a little research on the topic, I discovered that there are workplaces that implement an exercise of creating and sharing user manuals, also sometimes called me manuals.
Wow.
I had no idea. So, according to Psychology Today, this is a quote: creating a user manual is an exercise in self understanding for the person creating the document, helping them to become more aware of their own behaviors and how these behaviors may impact others. It's also an exercise in understanding others when that document is shared with a team. A user manual helps people get to know one another quickly and understand how others like to work and communicate, which helps people collaborate more effectively.
I love that.
Me too. It also helps avoid misunderstandings. For example, when people shut down, go quiet and inward, when they're under stress, while others tend to be irritable and impatient. So, knowing how others respond to stress helps us interpret these behaviors.
Brilliant.
So I dug into that a little bit. I saw some really extensive ones, like some that I was like, whoa, I don't know how much of that I would feel comfortable sharing in a work environment.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on how much trust has been established in the space. But like these user manuals can include basic about me information, like 5 adjectives I'd use to describe myself. What might surprise you about me is ... They might include details about how you like to work. Like I try to structure my day so that A, B, and C. I'm most productive during these times. I'm most available during these times. An open door means this, a closed door means that. That's so good to know because you never know, like, how to approach people.
Yes.
And of course, communication preferences. The best way to contact me is this, or something you should know about how I like to communicate is this. But here at the Spark File, as you know, we're always wanting to relate everything to your creativity and to ask, what do we make of this? I can't help but think one of the very best ways we might implement the idea of a user manual is when heading into collaborations.
Yes.
We've talked about this before. We have both had collaborations that crashed and burned, that live in the graveyard of incomplete projects or closed doors. And we've had collaborations that survived but could have been less stressful if only we had known more about ourselves and others before jumping into bed, creatively speaking. So I'm here today suggesting that if you plan to work with anyone in any creative capacity, you get clear on a few of your own needs and preferences first, then learn to articulate them clearly, and then inquire about your potential partner's needs and preferences. What are the things you think any collaborator needs to know about you, your working style, the way you communicate and want to be communicated to, and what would you want to know about them? One absolute no-brainer is that you need to talk about how you prefer to give and receive feedback. I prefer to receive feedback immediately, once a week, written, only face-to-face, any of the above. or the way I give feedback is typically this. At the Spark File, we never give feedback without consent. And if somebody says they are not currently open to feedback in that particular moment, or not open to a specific kind of feedback in that moment, we honor it completely with no judgment. We do not subscribe to this idea that you have to be open and receptive to all kinds of feedback at any given moment. We can be more intentional about it. But as you might imagine, people have very deep-seated ideas about what it means to be a really easy to work with creative, and what that means in terms of feedback and what they have to be willing to receive at any moment. So you can see how feedback is one of those areas where, my God, you want to know upfront what each other's preferences are before you go wading into those waters.
Yeah.
You might also want to know how they prefer to resolve conflict and their expectations around communication. Susan, what were you going to say in regards to what we make of it?
I was going to say this extends into character. So if you're a writer and you're writing the screenplay for When Harry Met Sally, you have Meg Ryan's character Sally, who is basically saying out loud, here's my rules about how I order at a restaurant. Here's my rules about what I want in a relationship. And you also have the Billy Crystal's character, Harry, who has kind of is unpacking a different set of rules. And I think it might be interesting.
Or a belief system about himself that he doesn't have any rule. He's freewheeling.
Right.
He's easygoing. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so I think it might be an interesting exercise if you were trying to flesh out characters that you were writing for a book, a screenplay, a play. What do their invisible rule books contain? And how might they clash against each other?
And clash against reality, because keep in mind, what a person believes to be true about themselves may actually differ from the way they appear in the world.
Yeah.
Which is another fascinating thing. And I think we love characters who are like that. I'm like, oh, Sally doesn't think that she's high maintenance. But to the rest of the world, watching her order her sandwich or salad, she's absolutely high maintenance. So that is an incredible idea, Susan. Have the character do it from their point of view and what they believe to be true.
Yeah, I just like the idea of that.
I love that idea.
I like the spark.
Yeah, we need a me manual, if for no other reason than to better understand ourselves.
I think it's so smart for businesses, teams to do this. And you can decide how deep you want to go and how involved the exercise wants to be. But I do think it's really smart for collaborations. Also, I will tell you at this age that I am now, I have recently fantasized, like, could we all just reveal this stuff about ourselves a little bit earlier in the process so that we can determine a little bit more quickly if we're going to be compatible in 2 weeks, a year, 5 years, 12 years on our deathbeds? Like, could we just make the invisible rule book visible? Could we? Might we?
We could. And I also want to say, but not in our stories. Because so many stories are about the revealing of the rules that we are not privy to at the beginning of a relationship. And those discoveries are delightful. A little less so in real life when we are trying to simply get along.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so good if we can learn to articulate our needs and preferences to loved ones and to creative collaborators so that we all get a jump on a great relationship rather than having to learn by trial and error, and only after a lot of drama potentially finding out that you're not as compatible as you had hoped.
I love this, Laura. What a fun spark.
Hey, happy to provide.
I think that's it. This episode of The Spark File was made on the lands of the Lenape and the Mohican people. And as always, we hope it put another bunch of sparks in your file. Hey, listen, if there's a spark you'd like us to explore, or if you'd like to learn more about how to rock with the Spark File, you can email getcreative@thesparkfile.com or reach us through our website, thesparkfile.com.
We will even happily take your feedback, but you know the price of admission. First, you got to share a creative risk that you have taken recently.
You can follow us on social at The Spark File and be sure to subscribe, rate, and 5-star review this podcast. It really does help other listeners to find us. Also, if you like this podcast, we hope you'll share it with people that you love. And if you didn't like it, I've got a rule in my invisible rule book. If you didn't like it, why don't you suck a butt?
Hey, suck a butt. If something lights you up, on the other hand, and gets your creative sparks flying, we're writing you a forever permission slip to make that thing that's been knocking at your door. It's your turn to take that spark and fan it into a flame.
You know, you got to take it
and make
it. What's my sign above my head gonna say?
We're gonna figure it out.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I wanna make or how I wanna be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Hi, this is Carrie Butler. Welcome to Breaking Broadway, an insider's guide to making it on Broadway. I get to meet a lot of aspiring performers at the stage door and through social media, and their biggest question is, how do I make it on Broadway? Well, lean in. I am going to give you the answer. There is no one answer. Everyone's journey is different. It's not something I can answer in one DM, and that is why I started this podcast. I'm going to give you tips from all different kinds of professionals, insider tips to help you find your way. So put on your dance belts, people. Here we go.